The NASA live feed has been keeping us up to date on what's happening outside the Earth, in the atmosphere, and beyond for 8 years now. And this time, we've used it to learn about things we couldn't even fathom a few years ago. However, people have recently noticed that the feed hasn't really been as clear and transparent as we were originally led to believe. The NASA feed recently shut off the second several massive objects showed up, and well, it left the world with raging questions. Join us in this video as we dig deeper into what happened with the NASA feed and what they might be trying to hide from us. Before we get into what went down with the feed, let's talk about the setup a little bit. So, the main source of a lot of our knowledge about space has come from the International Space Station. The work for the International Space Station first began on November 20th, 1998, almost 24 years ago. But it wasn't until 2014 that we got access to the official uninterrupted ISS live stream. This is a live stream that's running 24/7, and you can tune into it at any point to learn about what's going on in space at that very moment. Now, you can see that even though humans have been exploring space for decades now, with the Voyagers and other space explorers doing their thing around our galaxy, we've only managed to explore around 4% of our galaxy alone. Add to that all the billions of galaxies and universes in the cosmos, and you really get a glimpse of the speck we really are in the grand scheme of things. With that, it becomes obvious that while we are learning about new things every single day, there are things we just don't know about what's out there. NASA is working day and night to make sure that the gap in our knowledge becomes smaller and smaller every single day. NASA isn't the only one conducting research, though. There's also the Roscosmos from Russia, Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, the European Space Agency, and the Canadian Space Agency. These are all from vastly different parts of the world, but they still work together towards the common goal of learning more about the cosmos that we reside in. There are experiments being conducted at all these agencies every single day, and with it, they also go ahead and test any equipment that's supposed to make it out there into the open space later on. If the equipment can pass through their tests, it's safe to make its journey into space beyond just fine. While all this happens in space, we get to chime in from Earth using the live feed that NASA gives us access to. Those live feeds are responsible for some of the most iconic YouTube videos from space and pull through with the general feed that anyone can use to learn more about space. Well, most of the time these live feeds go on uninterrupted. There are times when NASA has to make the executive decision to block off information. This is something that they seem to do for the best interest of the general public, because if the general public was to process key pieces of information at the exact same time as NASA, chances are that we'd get to know a lot more than the authorities would want us to. Even though most people are well equipped to handle any type of information, there is still a possibility for mass hysteria to come and destroy the way everything works. That's the number one thing NASA doesn't want to accidentally end up doing. That's why they take every measure to control which information makes it to the public and what they admit. However, the problem arises when they simply are not fast enough in their admission. Sometimes they're just slow enough that things they're trying to hide are all out there for everyone to see. And well, questions get asked and people seek answers. That's exactly what happened recently as well. Now, you see, there have been sightings and reports of apparent UFOs being spotted or found for at least 7 decades. While none of them have come back with rigid proof, some pieces of footage have been so convincing that they've made the world stop and at least give the whole ordeal another thought. While many people still believe that the sheer possibility of aliens existing and making contact with us is slim, it turns out even NASA believes that aliens could actually be real and that they might make contact with us at any point. Because of that chance, NASA keeps the special lookout in space for anything that even remotely resembles the classic image of a UFO that the world has been keeping an eye out for years. The Pentagon has even confirmed that there was an entire department dedicated to studying UFOs in the past. Specifically, UFOs that might mean to cause the Earth some. It was called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. With it, they'd study any type of UFO that might breach in the Earth's atmosphere or threaten the Earth in any way. One of the things this program was able to figure out while it was still publicly active was that if aliens were to attack humans, they'd have technology that is so superior to what we have here on Earth that we really couldn't stand a chance against them. Yep, the Earth with thousands of nuclear weapons wouldn't stand a chance if aliens invaded. So it would make perfect sense for NASA to still keep an eye on the possibility of aliens making their way towards Earth. Where would these aliens have to pass through to get to the Earth? That's right, the International Space Station. So, in theory, If aliens were on their way to us, we'd get to see them on the live feed coming in from the ISS way before they actually made their way to Earth. That's exactly what seems to have happened already. NASA's live feeds were progressing throughout the day, exactly like they have done in the past, when suddenly, something popped up on the screen, and within seconds, the live feed was cut off. The feed was gone for a good 15 to 30 seconds before being reinstated. When it came back, the object had disappeared as if it was never there in the first place. Even though NASA was very quick to cut the feed, it still wasn't quick enough. UFO hunters, like Toby Lund, had already screen grabbed the NASA feed and began studying it frame by frame to figure out what exactly NASA was trying to hide from the rest of us. He claimed that the object wasn't just a star or a piece of space debris, but an actual UFO, roughly resembling the Star Trek insignia. This would mean that some sort of aliens do exist, and they aren't only out there, but they've also made contact. NASA trying to hide their existence by cutting off the International Space Station feeds simply means that they're aware of what's out there, and it might not have been the first time they've made contact with the space station. It's possible that whoever visited close enough to the Earth to be seen in the live feed wasn't here for the first time, but a returning visitor. That's because NASA seemed to know exactly what they should do to hide their existence. Toby Lund went deeper into his research and found out that this wasn't the first time it had happened. UFOs have been showing up in the NASA feed for years, and every time one of them shows up, NASA cuts the feed, adjusts the cameras entirely, and goes back online within seconds. It seems all too routine for it to be a one-time thing. What's even weirder is that any of the footage from right before the feed is cut off permanently, scrubbed from the archives entirely. That way, only the people that made their own backups of the live feed will be able to go back and see what NASA was trying to hide. Everyone else will just have to either believe the footage that's forwarded to them from other sources or discard them entirely. With this UFO sighting and all the others, there seems to be a protocol for how NASA deals with everything. They cut the live stream immediately and scrub any remaining evidence from their archives immediately. After that, there's a perfectly logical explanation that they've come up with. The apparent UFO is either said to be a speck of dust or a piece of space junk that has always been floating around. But if there's one thing that gives it all away to be a lie, it's the fact that NASA always acts within seconds to hide the evidence. If there was nothing to hide, why do the cameras always cut away? And how long does NASA plan on getting away with it? There will be a time when NASA isn't quite fast enough, and the UFO doesn't just plan on disappearing. Is NASA really going to wait until the UFO is totally unavoidable to come out and tell the public what's going on? Or is it going to keep hiding things until the end of time? That's just something we're going to have to wait and find out. In the meantime, let's just say we'll all be keeping a much closer eye on the ISS live feeds, because who knows what's hiding out there before NASA cuts off the feed and makes it all miraculously disappear. Whenever that does happen, you'll be the first to know. Keep an eye out for more videos on this channel. But for now, what do you think NASA is trying to hide with the live feed cuts? Let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos just like this. We'll see you in the next one.